All right, Tim, third race weekend in a row, and it's the last one in Catalonia. Next year, it'll be the Madring. The Madring? The
Madring?
Madring.
Madring.
Yeah, anyway.
It's one or the other.
Yeah,
it's in
and by the way, the Catalonians are thrilled about that. Just ask them. They're definitely not blood rivals with Madrid. And the track is for sure on schedule, too. Just don't anybody look. But it's for sure being built on time.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Is what's
it's not built yet.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, they've got their work cut out for them to try and get this track put together, Adam. Because last time I checked, it was still sort of a dirt bowl.
And it still is, Tim. And you know what's hilarious about it is they got a 10-year contract, and we don't even know if it works.
Yeah.
So maybe we are back here next year. You never know. I mean, crazier things have happened.
Who knows? I mean, I would be interested to see how they move the calendar forward. I mean, we're supposed to learn more about that in the next few weeks. We should know more about what next year's calendar looks like. Mm-hmm. I would say in June we'll probably find out. I'll be interested to see what they do with the Spanish Grand Prix here in Barcelona, because I wonder if they flip flop. I know they've got the deal with Madrid and everything that's going on there, but there were some people talking about maybe there's a way that it finds its way back on the calendar, maybe next year, could be years after. So
okay, well, that'd be good.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if this track is really truly gone from the calendar like forever, because I don't know, the drivers like it, I like it, some of the fans like it, the racing's always pretty good there. And yeah, I mean,
I like the track.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, I like it. I like it too. I've been there before. Been on it, obviously, and then it is out in. I don't want to say it's out in the middle of nowhere because it's not, but it is a little bit away from the city and stuff like that. But man, do they have good food around it?
Do they?
Oh, dude, there's some good
is it
restaurants
good?
close by. Yeah.
Okay, what do you recommend? If we're going, if I went to detourist Tim for a second here.
Well, I can't remember. So it was 2017's the last time I was there, and I went with TSN. So we were covering Lance, his first time in testing, and we went to. Oh man, I can't remember. I want to remember the name of this restaurant. It was in Barcelona. It was. I can't remember the name of it, but basically we went in at 6 at night, and we were like, all right, ready for dinner. And the place was like, yeah, we're not really open right yet. We're like, what do you mean? It's 6 o'clock. It's dinner time here.
Yeah, no, not
let's
yet.
Go. And they're like, no, we don't open. We don't serve dinner till 8 or 9 o'clock. And we're like, what?
Yeah. Apparently, you go to work at about 9 or 10. Then 1 o'clock, everybody breaks for siesta.
Yeah,
and you'll see
awesome.
I guess it blows people away because you'll see kids with their schools going for dinner at 11 p.m.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it.
I don't know how they do that. I really don't.
I couldn't sleep. There's just no way. There's just no way. And there was this other like mom and pop sort of restaurant that was close to the track. It was a really small restaurant. We went in there and got paella, and I'd never had paella before, ever.
Good.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. It was like butter. It was amazing.
It's the best, isn't it? I love paella.
Love
a good paella. Okay, all right, Tim. So listen, we got a few things to talk about. We're going to talk about the Flexi Wing in a little bit, but before that, we're going to do our little track run. And the first thing we need to talk about has literally escaped my mind. We just talked about it off camera, but I have no idea what we're leading the show.
Flexi Wings?
I thought Flexi Wings was later, but we can start with Flexi Wings if you want to. Let's start with that. Let's go with that. Because Flexi Wings is the thing everybody wants to talk about. It's the thing that everybody's like, this is the great equalizer. We're gonna see McLaren finally fall. I know this is extraordinarily technical, and you got sort of a readout from the FIA on this. Yeah. So can you run us through what exactly is going on?
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to try and get too technical with it, but I'm gonna have to. But I'll try and break it down as best I can. I mean, obviously the FIA have issued an explainer on the bodywork flexibility. That's going to be taking place from this weekend, Spanish Grand Prix onwards. And the FIA is essentially introducing further tightening of the load tests that they applied to both front and rear wing of F1 cars. So basically it's addressing, like we had said, the concerns over Flexi Wings. Now, before this season began, so the FIA responded to concerns by teams. So during the 2024 season, that a few of them were chasing designs that would reduce drag in a straight line, essentially had them at very high speeds. I believe we saw McLaren Mini DRS in Azerbaijan really comes back into my memory. But also not just high speeds, Adam, but also low speeds as well. In the changing aero balance sort of the car. So the FIA announced that they would introduce Flexi Wing, clampdown, usher in stricter load deflection tests is what they like to call them for the front wing for the Spanish Grand Prix and then onwards, obviously. So basically the deflection tests focus on front wing, upper rear wing, and the beam wing, which is the rear wing that sits underneath the big massive wing itself. And that basically is going to help with that mini DRS deflection test. So that stuff that we saw in Azerbaijan, that this is going to help, sort of help put teams' minds at ease that other teams aren't, I guess, bending the rules. So in a bid to monitor like this success sort of this regulation change, there was cameras that were mounted on cars. So during free practice sessions at the Australian Grand Prix. So we're going all the way back to then. And basically the FIA analyzed a lot of the footage and they concluded that even tougher tests sort of were needed. And at the Chinese Grand Prix, we talked about this, the tolerance was reduced from, I think it was like 0.75 millimeters. And then at the following race in Japan, it was supposed to come down to 0.5 millimeters. So for this weekend, the FIA is going to switch its focus now to the front wing. So the rear wing has kind of already had its sort of thing. We're now going to the front wing. And here's what the FIA has had to say. I received this. They sent this to me yesterday. They said, quote, "From this weekend on, when the load is applied symmetrically to both sides of the car, the vertical deflection must be no more than 10 millimeter and applied to only one side of the car. The vertical deflection must be no more than 15 millimeter." So regarding front wing flap flexibility, the regulations stated that any part of the trailing edge of any front wing flap may deflect no more than 5 millimeters. When measured along the loading axis, when a 6 kilogram point load is applied normal to the flap. So from this weekend, the amount of permitted deflection drops to just 3 millimeters. So testing of these components will take place regularly, and the teams will, and I've been told the teams will be checked at different points across the season. Basically, the FIA will ask the teams bring their components down, and they will be checked in isolation, and will then sometimes check them on the entire car. And we've provided images here in the show that people can have a look at what those deflection tests will look like. So Parc Fermé is when that's in effect. So the FIA will also do tests on the cars then as well. Now, teams can't make adjustments to their cars when they have been placed under Parc Fermé. So Parc Fermé happens Saturday following qualifying, and also Sunday morning. They can also randomly choose to do these tests as well as during post-race as well.
I know McLaren's getting tested for sure.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling they're going to be the first ones that are going to get tested. But essentially, if the FIA feel that this is needed, they're going to go and get these teams and get all their stuff and tell them to bring it all down. So if this rule also, this rules out teams trying to just, fit a stiff wing for the tests and then trying to run something different in the races as well. So it kind of it basically captures all teams at all times. It also captures teams at different times. They get randomly selected whenever the FAA feels that they need to do something. So, Adam, I mean, there's a lot that went into this to try and clamp down on all this. And, I think this goes back to like just Red Bull just really being aggressive with trying to find ways of maybe bringing McLaren back a bit. I mean, the stuff in Azerbaijan was like, that was a little. That thing was like, it was flexing. Like
it was a little flappy.
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
there was a little flexor. But I mean, outside of that, I'll be interested, Adam, to see which teams this really affects, and that's something we can obviously.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I mean, Fred Vasseur was saying that that they've been preparing for this for months. So.
They have,
and there really is, Tim. I got to be honest with you. I know that's a big change, but like, there is no excuse for not being prepared for this at this point. They had plenty of time.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I mean, they had all the way back in the wintertime to start to get ready for this, right? So and that's the other thing. When I take a look at some of the teams, Adam, like I think Ferrari has prepared themselves the best out of all the teams for this. I would say they're one of them. Aston Martin would probably be another. There's a few more as well. But the teams that I'm not too sure it's going to be a good thing for is obviously McLaren and then Mercedes as well.
Okay, yeah.
Because this is something they did try to chase last year. And then you have to wonder and assume that in the off-season, wintertime, they're still going to be chasing it.
Yes.
They were still chasing it. So I'm going to be curious to see if this does bring anyone back. And we're not going to know, Adam, until a few races in. Like, this is going to take some time for it to sort of settle in with everybody. And we're not really going to see the effects of all of it.
Right.
So we could see a little bit this weekend. It is going to have an effect. It will. There's no question about that. It's just how much of an effect is it going to have and who is it going to affect? Mm-hmm. That's going to be the other question.
I'm excited. Let's go. This will be a cool weekend. Tim, I wonder about the scrutineering, because who really directs that? I know that Red Bull, whenever they're not in first, they're going after whoever is, right? And that is largely the same for a lot of other teams. Red Bull are just a lot more public about it. Like when Mercedes was in second and Red Bull had this crazy car, I'm sure they were getting scrutineered a lot. But, Toto Wolff wasn't out there going, I'm sure Red Bull are doing something illegal. Whereas Red Bull will literally go to the papers and go, McLaren are doing something illegal. And then the scrutineers will look at it and they'll be like, no, it's totally fine. And then we move on. And that's part of the game, right? I'm just curious about who will start that process. Like, do they just go, okay, well, let's go to the top team, check them first and go from there?
Well, essentially, I think whoever, let's say Red Bull. We'll use Red Bull as an example, and we'll just use it on the fact that they had the rear brake drums, brake calipers, basically investigated at the end of the Miami Grand Prix to see if they were pumping cooler fluids through the brake drums to cool the tires down, kind of thing, which they weren't. But essentially, they had what was it called? Like thermal cameras, like trying to detect how hot McLaren's rear tires were getting when they were out on track and coming into pit lane, and how hot were they when they were being taken off compared to what theirs were. And so they had so much data and information. Eventually they compiled sort of a bit of their mini arguments, took it to the FIA, and then just kept at it, right? Just kept at them until finally they went and they pulled the thing apart and they looked at everything, right? And so Andrea Stella is interesting hearing from him after that, because he's basically saying, like, hey, look, all these teams like that are looking at us and doing this, it's great, because that means they're taking the focus away from their own cars.
And that's true. I wonder about that too.
It's true. He's right.
Okay, so you think he's right on that? Because I've always thought, like, okay, how much? I understand spending a little time on someone else's car, but it seems like an inordinate amount. And Red Bull for if not for Max's unbelievable performances, Red Bull hasn't gotten any better in the last 18 months. Tim, like they really haven't.
I would say when they brought the update to Imola, kind of does, and they've made some updates to the rear of their car as well. Now, whether it's like rear corners, so that's like brake cooling.
Yep.
Which in turn could affect tire overheating. Now, I'm not an engineer, so I'm not 100% certain how all of that would work. But since Imola, they actually have looked pretty good in that department. They didn't look too bad with tire management as well at the Monaco Grand Prix. Like, it wasn't horrible. I mean, obviously, the degradation isn't that high at Monaco. But that being said, I mean, we'll see more how Red Bull sort of shakes out this weekend. I think like Red Bull is another one of those teams that didn't really pursue the Flexi Wing angle with their car. And so maybe that brings McLaren back a bit. Like maybe it does. And I think for Red Bull, this is what they're hoping for.
Yep.
Like they're just hoping for a little bit of something that's going to bring McLaren a little bit closer back to them. Mm-hmm. Because it's not like McLaren's like a huge step ahead in race pace. I mean, that still remains to be seen. I'm still basing everything off of what happened in Imola. And so, I mean, we'll see on that front if things go back to that. But that's all that Max has ever really asked for, right, Adam? It's like, just get me close to McLaren. And like I'll take care of the rest. I'll take care of both the drivers. Max is just like that. And now obviously they need Yuki to start performing a little bit more. I know that's starting to become a bit of an issue for them to not have two cars in the fight that can offset strategy and stuff like that. But again, I mean, they haven't had that in years, right? Yep. They haven't had two drivers who could go out and do that. It's always been on Max's shoulders. So when
I also want to come back to that point after we do our little track run here, because I think there's more to that.
So I think when we take a look at what are the possibilities around this Flexi Wing clampdown for this weekend, and looking further into this season's future, it could play out in Red Bull's favor, or things may just sort of stay the same, but at some point it will have an effect. Mm-hmm. We're just not too sure who it will affect.
Okay, that's fair. Now, shall we get to our little track run? Because Tim's going to take us around the Circuit de Catalonia. I'm very excited about this. Tim, a very good, purpose-built racetrack. We love this, so let's have a look. Okay, the Grand Prix of Spain, or the Spanish Grand Prix, whichever you'd like to call it, doesn't really matter. Spanish Grand Prix takes place at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia.
It matters.
It doesn't matter. People call it both. Doesn't matter that much. It is officially the Spanish Grand Prix.
Oh, you're the best.
66 lap race. Circuit length of 4.7 kilometers. Tim, you've actually driven this track.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Okay.
So hopefully there'll be no accidents. We won't spin out or anything. I've only needed to do 5 laps.
It's a real racetrack. It's a real racetrack.
It is a real racetrack.
And this is an interesting one because this is the last race that the Flexi Wing is going to be allowed in.
Well, yeah, this is where the Flexi Wing clampdown is going to happen.
So this is kind of a big deal. This will be a big sort of starting point for a lot of teams. And what the first third of the season has been, that will be the outlier. The next 2/3, we're gonna really know what the cars look like, which is kind of neat. Now, this is the 55th running of the Spanish Grand Prix and the 35th held at the Barcelona Catalonia track. Last year, Lando Norris got pole position, but was beaten to the finish line by Max Verstappen, probably because he didn't have a great start. Tim, what did you do?
Oh, this pillow thing.
Just the pillow thing? Fun fact, the Spanish Grand Prix is one of the oldest races dating back to 1913. Both Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher hold the record for most wins with 6 each. Now, Here's my question. Are Ferrari good enough to get Lewis the 7th win at this race, do you think?
We'll see what happens with the Flexi Wing clampdown, right, Adam?
Right.
I think that's going to pull some teams back, but I think in the paddock, some people don't know how much that's going to happen with some teams. Like, they feel that McLaren should be pulled back a little bit. May not be like a huge amount, but it could bring some teams, backwards, right? I don't think Ferrari would be one of them, which is probably good for Lewis Hamilton.
Now, Daniel Kvyat, of all people, that's a name, right? Daniel Kvyat, former driver for
a name from the past,
for Toro Rosso and for Red Bull. He was famously booted from his seat mid-season for some young guy named Max Verstappen.
Whatever
happened to that guy? He was booted here.
Yeah.
He said that if Ferrari have not made serious strides or are not in the championship running by this time next year, Tim, there could be some major changes with the management structure there, including potentially Freddie Vasseur and John Elkann. So I want to know what you think about those comments.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree on all of that. Honestly, like, Ferrari is a tough organization to run, tough team to run. I think Vasseur has done a good job up until now. I mean, yeah, they've gone the wrong way on a couple things with this car this year. Look, can it be fixed? I think so, right? Like, I think it can be fixed. But that being said, I wouldn't just go and just start firing people. I mean, because I think that was one of their problems in the past, right? Just going in there and taking the axe to it and kind of scaring people for their jobs and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't think that really works. So it's going to be...
you're building towards something over the course of years. Now, the thing is, Ferrari has gotten better since the Mattia Binotto years, right? Like, it is
sure.
That there's still the lack of confidence in some of their strategy decisions, but you're starting to see some results, though.
Yes.
Right? Like, Lewis a couple weekends ago, going from 12th to 4th, that's not nothing. That's huge.
Yeah, his Imola race was really impressive. It really looks like that's where he was able to unlock a lot of performance from the car and feel comfortable. But again, I think his relationship with his engineer is starting to build and get better and stronger. It just takes time. I think, like, in Monaco Media Day, Carlos Sainz was kind of right in the way of, like, people have been too harsh on Hamilton at Ferrari right now. And I agree with Sainz on that.
Unless he'd gotten like 2 wins in his first 7 or 8 races here, I feel like that was always going to be the case. They were probably prepared for that.
I mean, look, I think Lewis was prepared for some struggles. I think the team was as well. It just takes time, man. Like, it's all shit. And, like, look, it's the same with, like, any sport, right, Adam? Where there's a lot of expectation on a big time player coming into a team. And if they don't start performing, like, right away or doing something that the fan wants, the fan gets upset about it.
Sure.
That starts a whole thing. So, look, it just takes time. He'll get there. And, like, obviously the team would love him to win here in Spain, but obviously they want him to win another championship, especially with them.
So I want to talk a little bit about, and this is something that's a story that goes really underrated. This is a home race for Carlos Sainz, home race for Fernando Alonso, okay? And, what we don't often hear about, we hear about the British media and their issues, right? We hear about the Dutch media and they're following around Max Verstappen. I think Drive to Survive had the whole Thailand, throngs of people showing up for Alex Albon and how excited they were.
Yeah, for sure.
The Spanish media are really tough. They are, they are very, very well connected. And Spanish F1 fans are intense, as they are with their soccer teams as well. So, Tim, what kind of a weekend is it going to be like for somebody like Carlos Sainz and somebody like Fernando Alonso? Carlos, obviously, coming on strong with Williams. Fernando, not in the best car at the moment, but an absolute F1 legend who everybody loves. This has got to be a tougher weekend for both.
I think so, yeah. I mean, maybe not so much for Carlos, because things have been going really well for him. But like you said with Fernando, I mean, this could be a good track for Aston Martin. We'll see, because of the floor they brought to Imola. Like, we'll see how it works here, because obviously Monaco is a different track.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the main thing is for the team is trying to figure out, is everything working in conjunction with each other? Is the wind tunnel, CFD, is all of that aligning? Because the floor they introduced in Imola is essentially the very first thing that they've built for this car under this new technical directorship from Andy Cowell and Adrian Newey. So, I mean, Adrian Newey didn't build the floor. He had no really anything to say about it. That was being done by a separate team. However, it does look like hit a little bump there. It does look like, I mean, it's added some performance to the car. And for Fernando, he just wants to get that one victory, right? That one elusive win that he needs.
Right, and you know, this was the same media group, by the way, and this is going to give you an idea of how intense the Spanish media can be. This was the same media group who were suggesting, I think it was last year at this time, or maybe it was 2 years ago now, that Fernando was dating Taylor Swift.
Oh,
remember that? And they made a whole thing about it. You know, the Aston Martin social media team, who are excellent, sure, they leaned into that a lot. It was great.
But didn't he do something for TikTok?
Yes, a few things. A few things. I'm always amazed because Fernando is such a personality. I'm always amazed at what requests they give him and what he says yes to.
Yeah.
And during that, I think that was 2 years ago. That was pre-Travis Kelce. I was blown away by how much he was like, yeah, whatever. We'll mess around with this. This will be fun. He seems like he can be a really fun guy.
Yeah, he's great. I like Fernando a lot. I just remember that because I was like, "There's no way."
Right.
As soon as someone had come up to me who was kind of new to F1, and they were like, "Is Fernando Alonso dating Taylor Swift?" I'm like, "There's no way." There's just no.
Where
way.
would they even have met?
I mean, no offense to Fernando, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but just like, there's just no way. Like, that's not happening.
But here's the thing: there's a reason why I kind of suck, because it's like you can see it a little. He's Fernando Alonso, right? Like, he's cool.
Yeah.
Drives fast cars.
Yeah. Okay.
World champion.
Yeah.
Again,
you've sold me, Adam.
I wondered, she was on her Eras tour at that point and on the other side of the world. So again, where would they have met? But it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
So talking about this track a little bit, Tim, again, you know, obviously you've raced here. This is a fun track to drive for drivers. They like this one.
Never raced here, tested here, but
tested
yes,
here, sorry.
It's a great track. Drivers love it. Yeah, I mean, I think this is just the perfect combination of slow corners, fast corners. It gives you a better sense of where you're at with your car. So we'll probably see a lot of updates to cars for this weekend. Obviously, with the Flexi Wing clampdown, we'll probably see a lot of cars with a lot of new front wings as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, yes, this is the perfect track to bring new components, new equipment to, and just test it out, because it's going to give you the perfect balance of everything that you need for your car, so you can understand what you've got. These laps are horrible. It's hard to talk to you and do this.
Yes,
Adam,
I
let me tell you.
Now, do you want me to shut up and we can do this? I want to see you do a full lap. I know you got black and white flagged on the last one here, so we're gonna we'll do the full Tim test lap, and I'll just carry. So
we're gonna do a proper lap,
focused lap here.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Tim Hauraney. Let's see what kind of time Tim Hauraney can put in. Fernando Alonso's Aston Martin, but it's not from this year, it's from last year. We're still using F1 2024. And that's probably a good thing given where the Aston Martin car is right now. Not great. One thing I will say with this sim rig that we have is that it is a lot harder than it looks, especially the way Tim drives it, which is like a real race car, where he doesn't have the traction control assists. And he is obviously paddle shifting and all of those things. I tried it last week in Monaco. You should check it out. I almost made it all the way around the track in the rain. Blew it on the last corner. The Mick Schumacher corner. You guys remember that from a couple of years ago. Tim's doing a pretty good job right now. I probably shouldn't say that, though, out loud, because that might cause him to spin out.
Adam! Damn it! No!
I validated lap time. Do you want to try one more time?
No. Well, yeah. Well, let's see what this is.
Okay. All right.
I think the tires are coming to the end of their life anyway.
Oh, are they? Are they almost burnt out?
I think so. Yeah,
okay. A little sliding all over the track.
I'm just getting a lot of understeer now.
There you go. There he is. Here, why don't we reset it?
Okay.
And then we'll go to
some freshies.
We'll go to some fresh tires. Oh yeah, they look a little burnt out. By the way, the new graphics apparently for for this are going to be, or for F125 apparently are going to be spectacular.
Oh, I can't wait to play that game.
Yeah,
that's going to be great.
And you're going to actually, they're saying like the one thing they're focusing on in the new game, because it releases in July every year, which is I think an awkward time of year for it to release, but that's what they do. Is you're really going to start to feel the elevation. They said they wanted to work on it for 24, 25 now. They're like apparently hardcore on. If a track goes up and down,
you're really going to feel it.
You should feel that in the car.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Am I allowed to talk?
Yes, you can talk.
All right. I just want to talk to Tim.
Just don't jinx the lap.
Yeah. So Tim.
It's already garbage.
Tim's already mad. He's got to try to recover here though. This is it. One of the things I think that we got to find out here is where Mercedes kind of fits in with the championship. Are they able to regularly outrace Max Verstappen? Are they able to, like, clearly they can win, or they can do second place in the World Teams Championship. Can George Russell get back into the perennial podium sort of slot away from Max Verstappen?
God.
Just go for the lap anyway. We're going for the lap. Screw it. That I think is going to be interesting because the Mercedes car is so much better in the heat now, right? It used to be a cold weather car only. That's why Lewis won Silverstone last year. Now you're kind of going, oh, you guys actually have some tire in the heat.
Tire in the heat.
You know what I mean?
I love it.
All right. What do we think? How do we do?
I'm not going out like that.
Oh, you're not going out like that? All right.
I'm not going out like that. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. I know everyone's here.
All right. No, we're all here to see you succeed. That's what we want. We want Go Tim. Okay? So I'm curious about that. I'm also curious about Williams this weekend because that car has been coming on stronger and stronger. It, for the last 2 or 3 years, has been a really good straight line car. Balance has been a bit weird. Not great in the corners. So, those corner heavy tracks doesn't do great at. This year, we're starting to see some improvements. And obviously, it helps to have 2 really good drivers. So I'm curious about their positioning. Are they able to get into a 5-6 spot? Are they able to, take advantage of somebody else's mistake and perhaps get ahead? You've seen Alex Albon, who's got a lot more confidence in the car still than Carlos Sainz does, get ahead of guys, and of course, guys that he probably shouldn't be ahead of, and, ultimately have to kind of move out of the way for them because, the car just can't compete at the top level yet, but they are far and away the best midfield pack team. And now the goal is, how do we get into those top 3, top 4? And I think they're close. We'll see if they keep developing the car. Here we go, Tim. How do we feel?
Pissed. I lost so much time in the third sector, and I don't know why. I got to go back and look at the lap.
I like that you're that competitive about it. That makes me happy.
I'm not happy about this.
Now, Tim, it's interesting into the Spanish Grand Prix. Obviously, you're going to have Spanish drivers speaking out a little bit more. Fernando Alonso hasn't done a whole lot of press this year, so he hasn't made a whole lot of headlines, and we kind of miss him. I love what Fernando Alonso has to say at any time about anything. I'm ready to listen to it. But interestingly, Carlos Sainz was asked in a Spanish outlet about his free agency. Basically, when Lewis Hamilton was announced, he all of a sudden was going to be the driver on the way out, and basically he talked to every team on the grid. And he said, I did talk to Red Bull because they asked about it.
Yep.
And he said, if you know Formula One, you know the reasons why they weren't interested. I'll leave it at that. And, and this is how I ended up here. And, we talked about this ad nauseum last year, Tim. The reason that Red Bull would not be interested is because Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen were teammates at Toro Rosso, and Jos Verstappen and Carlos Sainz Sr. do not get along. And, I think you probably got 2 motor racing dads and 2 motor racing sons, and there's a lot of ego and competitiveness and all those reasons. I mean, there's not one event or something like that we're hiding from you. It's just these are the things that happen in life. Not everybody is for everybody. But I want to compare that, or I want to use that, and I want to move to what Martin Brundle said yesterday, which is he doesn't think Red Bull have a good enough second driver in place, and that they need to. And Carlos Sainz probably would have been that guy, although I think Red Bull did him a favor by not making him drive this car. Yuki Tsunoda, I think, is extremely talented. Martin Brundle knows a heck of a lot more about the sport than I ever will, but it seemed like an interesting comment because I think Yuki's so talented and he's not getting the results. And you're saying this is now becoming a talking point, not just in the media, but within Red Bull itself.
Yeah.
I mean, he just got there. He didn't have preseason testing.
Yeah.
It seems a little unfair.
Yeah. So I keep saying that. I'm like, I mean, I think
this is a little much, is it not?
You've got to give drivers time. Like
yeah.
I mean, he never did testing, right? He wasn't in the car for preseason testing, although this is what he wanted, right, Adam? Like, he did want this. So we won't forget about that. However, this is a difficult car to drive by the looks of things. Difficult car to get into an operating window where I think Yuki can trust it. And I'm just basing that off of what I've heard from him. Not basing that off of anything that I have heard. I think when you dig into that a little bit deeper for a driver, and I've worked with some drivers at pretty high levels of motorsport, you have to have trust in what you're driving. You have to be able to predict what it can do or what it will do when you do something with it, or when you change the balance of it, or when you change the setup for a different type of a track. The car is going to give you something a little different, but you have an idea of what that is, and you can be prepared for it, and that doesn't take your confidence away. Where you're in the Racing Bull, we'll use that as a comparison, is that you see those two drivers, especially around Monaco, has good drivability. And what I mean by that is they can predict it. They know what it's going to do when they put a certain type of a setup on it, and they can predict what's going to happen when the tire starts to wear off, or when they overheat the tire, or when they're going to take it to its limit, like what it will do. And when we look at this car and what Yuki says, I can kind of only connect the dots where it's like, if this thing is up, it's down, it's left, it's right, it's over here, it's over there, not really maybe suited to whatever his style is, then yeah, it's going to be a challenge. But we've seen glimpses where he's been able to extract some performance from the car. I mean, Imola was a good showing at the end of it, right? But Monaco was a bit more of a struggle, and he was slow. And so you need now consistency from Tsunoda. And I think for Red Bull is they don't have time to wait around. However, they are the ones who sort of put themselves in this position anyway.
I was just going to say that. They did this to themselves.
There is that as well. When you take a look at, what do they get? I don't think it would be smart to remove Yuki from the seat for the rest of the season, because I think he can bring this together. It's just against the consistency of it. It's like every race weekend, okay, if you're going to be 2/10 off of max or 3/10 off of max, then you're going to consistently be within that 1, 2, 3 range.
Yes.
It's when we get into like 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, and you're dropping further back. It's kind of like that consistency, that up and down. Well, it doesn't help him and it doesn't help the team. And I just don't think it's a good idea to just remove him, because if you remove him, who are you gonna put in there? You can't put
Hadjar in there.
You can't put Hadjar in there. And I'm not saying that because I think he's not good or something. I think he's very good, but I just think that you've got a really great driver there that you're working with. It just is not a smart idea to shatter his confidence by putting him in this car. I mean, this is a car that's particularly built around Max for sure, and he's able to extract whatever he is able to extract from it. Mm-hmm. And that leads me to next season. Like, if you're Red Bull, like what are you doing? I mean, I still don't think you should put Hadjar in there for next year. I don't think
so either.
I think
you got to give him time.
Yeah, I think he's a long-term project where it's like, this is a guy who can be excellent. So build him to be excellent. That's all there is to it.
I mean, Tim, there's a lot of politics in the Red Bull garage, as there is with many garages, but Red Bull seems to be the most politicked, right? And they have had incredible success, either because of or despite it, depends who you ask, right? But I look at when the politics get in the way of you going out and signing the best drivers, that is where I think you've lost the plot. And what I mean by that is they clearly are not fans of Yuki Tsunoda. They didn't want him in the car. They would rather take a guy who had less than a full seasons of race time and put him in the car than Yuki. And then when he failed, then they're like, okay, fine, I guess we'll do Yuki, right? And the first sign of trouble with Yuki, as expected, it becomes a talking point. It becomes he's got to perform. Otherwise, we were right all along. If a guy like Carlos Sainz is available, wants to come to your program, was a part of your program before, grew up in your program, and because of the politics of the garage, you're afraid of losing Max, you don't sign him, then I think you've done your team a disservice. And maybe you have to manage that conflict. Maybe you have to keep the dad separate, whatever it is you need to do. But this sport is about results all the time, especially Red Bull and Ferrari and Mercedes and McLaren. Like, those are the teams. It's like results now. We're in the window now. I think that they're going to look back at last summer and regret it a little bit, because I think, Tim, in what world, in what sport does it not make sense to sign the best driver? And respectfully, Carlos Sainz is not a problem guy. He's not a guy that is like, I'm going to create a bunch of drama. He gets along with just about every teammate he's ever had, with the exception of Max. And it's not like this is new with the Verstappen camp. They are a tough bunch to get along with. I don't think they're there to get along with people. They're there to win. I get that. I understand that. I'm not criticizing it. But like, Carlos Sainz he's known for how hardworking he is, how much time he spends in the simulator. He was the only guy to beat Max and Sergio in 2023. Like, to me, that is the glaring issue here, is you're letting one side of the garage dictate how you run your team. And it's now detrimental to the team, because you can't win the world team championship, right? You can't win the team championship without a second driver. Mm-hmm. And you've let your first driver, who might win the world drivers championship, not sure yet, dictate that you will not win the team championship. And the team championship is more important to the team than the drivers championship should be. And so I guess it's just, to me, it's like, these are the small decisions we make in the moment that have huge sort of butterfly effect results a year or two later. You've had a huge diffusion of talent with Wheatley and Newey and some of these other guys that have left, and that's normal, right? You put a good championship team together, they're going to get offers for more money elsewhere. But you're at a sensitive time. The least you can do is go sign the best driver available. And they could have had him. I just, that's the part for me, Tim, it's difficult from an outsider's perspective. I'm not in the team, to reconcile that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I see what you're saying. I think also there are, how many years could Carlos have been given at Red Bull? Was it what even he wanted as well? Like, could it, right. Were they the same as Mercedes, where it was kind of like, well, we have enough here for you for 1 year, but then after that 1 year, like, Carlos was looking for stability. Like, sure. He was looking for something that was a little bit longer term, maybe not with the best team at the time, but for the Red Bull sort of thing, I do agree that you have to go after the best talent that is available at the time. I mean, he was available, and he's a very good driver. Like, he's very good, really good, excellent, actually. I mean, knows how to work through a difficult car, can make it work for him, works hard. And I think, that's that would have been a huge gift for them, I think, for this year. I think it probably would have allowed them to realistically fight for the Constructors' Championship, where now I don't think that is a realization anymore. I think McLaren obviously is just too far away. The driver's title, yes. I mean that is a realistic thing, and it does look like they are pushing towards that because, you have to hold on to Max. You got to keep him happy, and he wants to win this title just like every year. He wants to win races just like every year. You have to keep him. You have to keep the guy happy. Like you have to hold on to him. He's your best talent. Like
I agree with that, but then he's not happy anyway because all we're hearing are rumors that 2026, he's going to 1 year in the regulations. I know you got to quote unquote keep him happy, but it's pretty clear he's not anyway. And what's your backup plan, right? So maybe Hadjar in a couple of years, but
backup plan's holding on to Max, Jazz. It's just, you gotta hold on to Max. That's all there is to it, Adam.
All right.
You gotta hold on to him. I mean, look, if Verstappen finds a way to win this driver's title, Adam, it'll go down in the history books as like
one of the greatest
driver title victories ever, because it'd be very it'd be huge, man. Like if he wins this year's title, that's legendary stuff, man. Legendary.
We'll see what happens. Okay, so Tim, give me your top three going into this weekend. Who do you think is going to do well? And I know this is extremely unfair because we don't know. We have no idea. But let's guess right now because it's more fun. Let's do it.
I'm just going to stick with McLaren then.
Okay.
It's like I don't know what's going to happen with this new directive.
Yep.
Or the Flexi Wing clampdown. So we'll just put that there. Maybe Ferrari plays a role somewhere. I'm still going to go with Verstappen. I think he's going to be right in the mix. I think he's going to be right in the mix with the two McLaren drivers. Be interested to see where George Russell shakes out as well.
Okay.
Those are sort of the teams I'm kind of watching right now. Ferrari in particular. I mean, obviously they've, like I said off the top of the show, I mean, they're one of those teams that haven't really, didn't really explore the Flexi Wing stuff coming in for this season. Like they went completely away from it. So they're a team that I'll be interested to see how that shakes out for them and where they end up. But again, we're not going to know anymore about the Flexi Wing and who it affects until a few more races further on down the line. But you will see teams bring a raft of upgrades for this race. I mean, there's going to be a lot. So whether they're going to be massive overhauls of cars, I mean, I doubt it, but more maybe bodywork in some places, maybe more different front wings, maybe some different rear wings we might see. Is anyone going to bring new floors? That'll be interesting to see what happens there. So there is quite a bit of stuff that we will see shake out this weekend, especially with updates. And that is going to basically fuel what the Canadian Grand Prix is going to look like. Because usually by the time we get to Canada, I mean, the season just kind of flips on its head. We usually get an incredible race in Canada, and all of a sudden we have no idea what the hell is going on.
Yeah,
so it's always but that's a sort of afterwards of something big like this happening.
So the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia weather so far.
Your Spanish is getting better.
It's horrific. I'm not going to lie, but it's looking like it's going to be mostly sunny and very warm. So Friday's a 31-degree day. 31. Oh. Saturday is a 30-degree day. Sunday is a 32-degree day, and no weather. Sorry, no weather, as in like no rain. So we're going to find out if those Mercedes tires really do operate in the heat, right? Like that's part of this.
Oh, you brought up yes, that for sure. Cooler temperatures is always better for Mercedes. That's for sure. You brought up heat, how hot it is there.
Yep.
How dry it can be as well.
Yep.
And the last time we saw something like that was back in Japan, and what happened? We had a lot of grass fires.
Right.
So for this weekend, The FIA are going to experiment with steel skid blocks underneath the cars instead of the titanium.
Interesting.
So I think there's going to be some cars running steel during free practice 1, free practice 2, and there's going to be some cars running titanium, and they're basically going to see what happens with the steel. How does it conduct the heat when it gets when it leaves the car, because the shards do get really hot and they leave the car. And that's sort of what starts these grass fires. I mean, the titanium holds the heat a lot more than what they think steel will. So we'll see. There may be some grass watering going on in certain places at the same time, but that will be something to keep an ear out for and an eye out for this weekend.
If I could get free tickets, I'm happy to water the grass.
Yeah.
Happy to be out there.
I mean, I think some teams aren't too happy about it, Adam, because it adds weight to the car. Mm-hmm. And the teams that are already sort of pushing towards that weight threshold, this could put some of them over it. So there are some teams that are just they're pretty not happy about how this is kind of working out at the moment. Again, that'll be something to keep an eye on and to watch out for in terms of storylines with teams as we're in this weekend.
Okay, Tim, I'm excited, man. I think listen, any major change, I'm excited to see the results of what happens. So
for sure,
Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso's Grand Prix, hoping Fernando Alonso can slip into the points somehow to get his first of the season so far. I think that would feel good for him, don't you?
Oh, man, it'd be amazing. I mean, I think for Fernando, he needs a points scoring weekend. Obviously, every time he comes here, he's Fernando. He always goes to another level. He hasn't lost anything, that's for sure. I mean, looking at his qualifying in Monaco was, he's
pretty great,
incredible. So he hasn't obviously lost a step. It would be good to see him score some points, not only for himself, get on the board, but also the team as well. And again, Aston Martin, interesting story coming in, obviously with the floor that they had brought to their car for Imola. We'll get a better understanding of where it is, how it's working for them. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Adrian Newey's kind of been not working on the 2025 car, but he's been... So basically, when Newey gets to the factory, he goes to work on the 2026 car in the morning. He has a lunch break. During his lunch break, he usually sits with the small group that's working on the 2025 car. So like Eric Blondon, his team, and provides some insight as to what he's sort of seeing and gives them some thoughts and ideas maybe to look at.
Okay.
For adding improvement to the 2025 car. And so the floor that they brought to Imola, that was built back in the wintertime, was refined over the following months. And so that's Newey kind of coming in being like, hey, maybe think about this, maybe think about that. So then when he's done his lunch, he's back working on the 2026 car.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's the expertise and genius 100 million pounds gets you. So good for him. That's awesome.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Hey, Tim, thanks so much, man. And we'll so basically the schedule this weekend is any race weekend schedule. Yep. Tim will be back with a quick podcast for you right after qualifying on Saturday, and then Monday we will release the post race show. So we're looking forward to that. Tim, thanks so much, man.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Have a good weekend.